Okay, my dear student, in the last class we had discussed up to chemical properties of metals. So the first topic one, what happens when metals are bound in air, that means reaction of metal with oxygen type, right? So today let's start the reaction of metals with water. That means what will happen when metals react with water. Now you know that we have been discussing the chemical properties of metals. Sorry. And for this purpose some very well-known metals we have considered, that means copper, aluminium, sodium, iron. That means very widely used elements, and these metals are what time and again it has been used. So how their reaction with water. Now you see, whenever metals react with water, if metals react with water, then metal oxide will form plus hydrogen. Okay, then this metal oxide again it will react with water to form metal hydroxide. That means what happened, at first when any metal is allowed to react with water, then it will form metal oxide. That means oxygen will get combined with this metal, and the evolution of hydrogen gas will occur. That means hydrogen gas will be released. Now this metal oxide again it will react with water to form metal hydroxide. That means the end product we will get is metal hydroxide. Now so far we have got regarding the reaction of metal with oxygen, that different kinds of metals show different extent toward the reaction with oxygen, right? In the same manner, here also the reaction of metals with water will be different for different kinds of metal. Now suppose let us consider sodium and potassium. Okay, so these two metals, they are very reactive. That's why they can react with cold water. That means if the water is normal or cold water, then the metal like potassium or sodium, they can react easily to form what? If potassium reacts with water, it will form potassium hydroxide plus hydrogen plus heat energy will be released. That means if the water is normal water or cold water, it can react very easily with this water to form what? Respective hydroxide. If it is sodium, then sodium hydroxide. And the reaction is so aggressive and violent. That means exothermic reaction, right? That means a huge amount of heat is released during the course of reaction. So that amount of heat and the evolving of hydrogen, it can easily catches what? Fire. So such a highly exothermic reaction is the reaction of potassium or sodium with water. Now the next metal, suppose we can consider calcium. Okay, that means reaction of calcium with water. So it can react with normal water, but it is what? Less violent. That means not so much aggressive, or there won't be a huge amount of heat will be released so that it will catches fire. That type of reaction won't take place in case of calcium. Now if calcium reacts with water, then the resulting calcium hydroxide will form along with the evolution of hydrogen gas, and this calcium start floating. That means what happens here, the gas, the hydrogen gas which is evolved, which is formed, right? During the course of reaction we have seen hydrogen gas is formed, right? Now this hydrogen gas, it gets attached with the surface of the calcium, and due to this attachment of this hydrogen gas with the surface of calcium, it start what? Floating. So when calcium reacts with water, then calcium hydroxide is formed along with the release of hydrogen gas, and this calcium start floating because the hydrogen gas produced during the course of reaction gets attached with the calcium metal, and which made the calcium to float on water. Now the next metal, suppose magnesium. This magnesium, it doesn't react with cold water. So far we have concern regarding sodium, potassium and calcium, right? So these elements react with cold water or normal water. But the magnesium which doesn't react with cold water, okay, so how it reacts with the water? If the water is hot, that means if suppose temperature of the water is increased, if it is heated, it will become hot water, right? Now it will react with the hot water to form magnesium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. That means what? Ultimately magnesium will react with water, right, to form what? Magnesium hydroxide plus hydrogen gas will be released. But the condition is that water is what? Hot water. Okay. And again it starts floating because the bubbles which are produced, that means the hydrogen gas which produces bubbles, and these bubbles get attached with the surface of the magnesium, and which made them to float in water. Now the metals like aluminium, iron, zinc, okay, they don't react with either cold water or hot water, okay, they react with the steam, water vapor, right, which have what? More energy than that of normal water or hot water, right? We know that the most energetic form of water is what? Water vapor or steam. Now the metals like aluminium or iron, they will react with what? Steam, that is water vapor. So if metals like aluminium reacts with this water, that is steam, this water is what? In the form of gas. You see, this is the gaseous form of water, right? So it means what? Steam. It will form what? If it is aluminium oxide and the release of hydrogen gas. Iron also the same thing will happen, iron oxide plus hydrogen gas. Besides this, the metals like see, lead, copper, silver, gold, they don't react with water at all. That means if it is the hot, cold, steam, with all of them, it means they don't have any tendency to react with any form of water. So we have got that different kinds of metals are showing different attitude towards the reaction with water. So whatsoever we have got is what? With cold water, the two elements, two metals like sodium, potassium, they can react with what? Cold water, okay. The next, calcium, it can react with the normal water, but the reaction is not so violent how it is for sodium and potassium, right? It is less violent, and the hydrogen gas produced during the course of reaction gets attached with the surface of calcium, and which made the calcium to float in water, right? Then we have what? Magnesium, right? In case of magnesium, it doesn't react with water, with cold water, but it reacts with what? Hot water. And so far we have got that the hydrogen gas evolved during the course of reaction, get attached with the surface of magnesium, and which made the magnesium to float in water, right? Next we have the metals like aluminium, iron, zinc, they don't react with cold or hot. So with what kind of water it reacts, or with what form of water it used to react? And they react with the steam form of water, that is the water vapor. So if aluminium react with water, then aluminium oxide plus hydrogen gas is released. If it is iron, the same reaction happens, that means corresponding oxide is formed. Now the metals like see, lead, copper, silver, gold, they are not very much reactive, that means they don't react with any form of water. So we have got different kinds of reaction of different metals with water, okay. So thank you. Now you practice this reaction, that what are the metals which can react with cold water, what are the metals which can react with hot water, what are the metals which react with steam, and which metal doesn't which metal do not react. That means ultimately what happens, the metals like lead, copper, silver, gold, that means what are the metals which don't react with water at all. So this thing you have to practice with reaction also, okay. Thank you.